The other day I came across another interesting, if not inflammatory, post by Jeremy Schneider of the Personal Finance Club. As a reminder, Jeremy Schneider is a financial blogger who, on his website, claims to have retired at age 36 with $4 million. According to the videos he sells on his site for $79 a pop, he would like to teach you how to do exactly the same by investing in index funds. By the way, Jeremy did not accumulate $4 million by investing in index funds, but that's a different story for a different day. Okay, in the post I mentioned, Jeremy shares the following anecdote. Quote, "There's this podcast called Millionaires Unveiled. I was listening to it once, and they were interviewing a millionaire whose net worth was about $3.75 million. He broke down how he built his wealth. It was basically a high income, staying very frugal, and investing, mostly in real estate and some in the stock market, pretty typical. He also mentioned he had about $90,000 in cash value life insurance. That's about 2.4% of his entire net worth. The millionaire was young and didn't really seem to understand what the life insurance policy did, but he was advised he should buy it, so he did. The interesting part was the reaction of the hosts. This was episode 195, so they had interviewed 194 other millionaires, and they said no other millionaire had ever brought up life insurance before as a means of building or holding their wealth. That matches my own experience of interacting with millionaires as well. Yet, if you scroll around on social media, you're confronted with a very different landscape. It seems every other finance guru is standing in front of a whiteboard espousing the magical benefits of buying permanent life insurance. And they'll even help you out with a free consultation if you click their link in bio. What do they all have in common? They're all earning big commissions from selling it. The real magic they found is in a marketing funnel on social media and lacks governmental oversight on conflating their insurance products with an investment product, close quote. He then goes on to share the following graphic in which he creates a ledger of who, in his mind, supports investing in IUL versus who doesn't. And I have to tell you, as graphics go, it's fairly damning. According to Jeremy, all financial advisors, accountants, mathematicians, financial planners, the entire FIRE community, money coaches, personal finance nerds, former insurance salesmen, and alas, Jeremy Schneider himself are against investing in an IUL. All right, let's unpack this post and its attendant graphic. Now, I'll remind you that I already did a video debunking Jeremy Schneider's takedown of IUL a few months back. The problem with that post, as with this one, is that he fails to distinguish between the deceptive practices of unscrupulous life insurance salesmen and the product itself. He conflates bad actors with bad products. Because snake oil salesmen in front of a whiteboard are scamming the public, the product with which they're doing so must by definition be a scam. This is, of course, a false equivalency of the highest order, and it undermines the logic of his entire narrative. You see, IUL should not be seen, as he posits in his graphic, as an investment alternative, at least not in the traditional sense. It was never intended to be an alternative to, for example, the low-cost index funds that Jeremy so strenuously evangelizes. In fact, any side-by-side comparison of the two fails ultimately to accurately portray the strengths or weaknesses of either alternative. Simply put, Index Universal Life is not in competition with what Jeremy is pushing, millions of TikTok videos notwithstanding. It is, however, in competition with your bond portfolio. As I've long said in my best-selling books, podcasts, and videos on this channel, if you reach into your portfolio, remove the bonds, replace them with IUL, you'll increase your return, you'll lower your risk, lower the standard deviation of your entire portfolio, and experience a better outcome over time. Never once in all of his posts have I seen Jeremy making any legitimate comparisons between IUL and bonds, because if he did so, it would solidify the IUL as a viable investment tool in the minds of his readers. Furthermore, it's much easier for him to say, look at the extent to which my index funds outstrip an IUL's performance over time. In fact, these are precisely the types of comparisons he makes on his social media channels. That's tantamount to saying, look at how superior my stock returns are to your bond returns. It's a classic apple and oranges comparison. If he were to instead acknowledge that IULs have a proven track record of between 5 to 7% net of fees over time without taking any more stock market risk than what you're accustomed to taking in your savings account, then he would undermine his entire anti-IUL narrative. His shtick only really works if he can juxtapose the IUL's returns against a 100% stock portfolio. When you compare the IUL's returns to a traditional bond portfolio, however, an entirely different narrative emerges, one that is clearly at odds with the one being pushed by Jeremy Schneider. Further, Jeremy Schneider routinely fails to acknowledge the reason why 70% of all people over age 50 purchase an IUL. And plot spoiler here, it's not as a stock market alternative, it's for the long-term care benefits. Here's the deal. If you're over age 50, there's a pretty high likelihood that one of your parents is going through a long-term care event even as we speak. And so, naturally, you're wondering how you can mitigate long-term care risks without all the heartburn that goes along with traditional use it or lose it long-term care insurance. Enter Index Universal Life. There's a provision in some IUL contracts called a chronic illness rider that says that if you can no longer perform 2 of 6 activities of daily living and can find one doctor to write one letter to that effect, they will send you 25% of your death benefit per year for 4 years for the purpose of paying for long-term care. Now, they will discount that benefit slightly based upon your age when you receive your benefit, but the point is this, they're willing to give you your death benefit while you're alive for the purpose of paying for long-term care. And if you should die peacefully in your sleep 30 years from now, never having needed long-term care, guess what? Someone's still getting a death benefit, probably your kids or your grandkids. So there isn't that sensation of having paid for something you hope you never have to use. But I get it. Jeremy is all in on his anti-IUL trope, and he doesn't have the luxury of muddying the waters with these kinds of nuanced explanations. Next, let's address the main claim of his graphic, namely that there aren't any financial experts who would ever in a million years think of recommending cash value life insurance as a serious financial tool. Well, it just so happens that within my very own Power Zero network, we have multiple CFPs, CPAs, and financial advisors who support the recommendation of IUL for the very reasons I discuss in this video. Furthermore, you don't have to dig very far through the interwebs to learn that Ed Slott, who the Wall Street Journal named America's IRA expert, is a rabid fan of cash value life insurance as part of a balanced, comprehensive approach to tax-free retirement planning. Take a listen to what he had to say. Roth IRAs and life insurance can single-handedly remove most of the taxes you or your beneficiaries will ever have to pay. The tax exemption for life insurance is the single biggest benefit in the tax code. Make it a part of your retirement savings plan. But clearly, the only reason Ed Slott likes cash value life insurance is because he gets paid to sell it, right? Well, just so happens that Ed addressed this accusation on his PBS special. Take a listen.
Let's switch gears to another way to eliminate huge taxes. Life insurance. Just so you know, I say it on every program, I do not sell life insurance. I don't sell stocks, bonds, funds, annuities. I'm a tax advisor and an educator. And as a tax advisor, I'm advising you to take advantage of the single biggest benefit in the tax code, and that is the tax exemption for life insurance.
Finally, let me address the central message of his original post, namely that 195 millionaires didn't mention anything about cash value life insurance during their podcast interviews, therefore it couldn't possibly play a role in a balanced, comprehensive approach to tax-free retirement. What Jeremy is really addressing here are the countless claims on TikTok by rogue IUL agents about how, historically, only the rich have utilized cash value life insurance to build their wealth. These videos claim that for years, cash value life insurance was the exclusive purview of the wealthy. And now, life insurance companies, in their infinite goodness, are finally opening their doors to the unwashed masses like you and me. I agree that the narrative that is pushed on TikTok is plainly false and should be rejected out of hand, but I think we can all walk and chew gum at the same time. Two things can at once be true. We can reject the lies and exaggerations on social media from the IUL or bust crowd. IUL clearly isn't in competition with traditional stock market investments and never has been, but we can also at the same time acknowledge that the IUL has unique attributes that make it an attractive complement to other tax-free alternatives such as Roth IRAs, Roth 401ks, and Roth conversions. And I would venture to say that if I had a chance to do an in-depth analysis of the profiles of those 195 millionaires, I could easily make the mathematical case that the IUL could prove to be an attractive complement to their existing tax-free investments. How do I know this? Because they likely hold bonds in their portfolio, and the IUL's returns will far outstrip those bonds over time, and because every one of those millionaires would prefer to pay for long-term care with a death benefit than to liquidate their existing investments to do so. And yes, Jeremy, I count you among those millionaires who would stand to benefit from IUL. Folks, in the next 10 years, I'm looking to put 100,000 Americans on the road to the 0% tax bracket. If you'd like some help getting on the road to a tax-free retirement, be sure to check out my tax-free toolkit. You can download it for free at taxfreetoolkit.com. If you're a financial professional and want to learn how to become a certified Power Zero advisor, head over to powerzero.com and opt into my free 3-part video series. By the way, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to drop them into the comment section below. I respond to every single one of them personally, and don't forget to click like, subscribe, and the bell so you never miss a video. This is David McKnight. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.